I failed my first business at 23, and I thought my brain was broken because I couldn't handle the stress. Turns out, failure isn't your brain giving up. It's literally rewiring itself to handle bigger challenges. Every setback activates survival programs that help your neurons cope with damage and stay functional, like a muscle that only grows stronger under resistance. But here's where the science gets counterintuitive. When I was stressing about my failed business, I thought my brain was breaking down. Actually, it was building new neural connections that would only grow stronger through the struggle. Think of your brain like a warehouse, where every failure forces you to reorganize the inventory system. Each setback triggers your neurons to reroute pathways and form new connections, creating backup routes that didn't exist before. The stress hormones that felt so overwhelming were actually signaling your brain to start construction work. This process involves synaptic plasticity, structural remodeling, and functional reorganization. Basically, your brain's way of saying, we need better infrastructure to handle this level of challenge. When I was rebuilding after that business failure, my brain worked in stages, like it had its own recovery protocol. The first month was pure chaos. Stress hormones flooding my system while my neurons started forming new connections to handle the pressure. I'd wake up at 3 a.m. with my mind racing, but what felt like breakdown was actually my brain rerouting pathways around the damaged confidence circuits. By month 2, something shifted. The panic attacks stopped, and I started recognizing patterns in what went wrong. This wasn't just emotional healing. It was my brain literally reorganizing its structure through neuronal regeneration and functional reorganization. My brain's emergency response team had stabilized the damage and was rebuilding with better infrastructure. The most surprising part came around month 3. I found myself automatically avoiding the same mistakes, not through conscious effort, but because my neural pathways had rewired themselves. My brain had formed new connections that would support learning and recovery throughout my entire lifespan, not just during that crisis. The failure had become my neurological upgrade. So you've heard how my brain literally rebuilt itself through 3 months of neurological reorganization after my business failure. Drop your answer in the comments below. Have you ever noticed your brain getting stronger through something that felt like it was breaking you? Comment your thoughts below. Let's dive into what happens when this process goes wrong. But most people sabotage this entire rewiring process without realizing it. I made this mistake too. After my business collapsed, I immediately jumped into a safe corporate job, thinking I was protecting myself from future failure. Big mistake. I was essentially telling my brain, abort the upgrade, we're going back to the old operating system. The 3 failure traps that prevent your brain from completing its rewiring are giving up too early during the chaos phase, not extracting the specific lesson your neurons are trying to encode, and avoiding similar challenges that would strengthen those new pathways. I fell into all 3. Instead of letting my brain finish building those stronger neural connections, I retreated to familiar territory where those new circuits would never get tested or reinforced. The irony is that when you avoid the very challenges that triggered your brain's upgrade, those new neural pathways start to atrophy. It's like building a bridge, but never driving across it. After my brain had rebuilt itself through that 3-month neurological overhaul, I started noticing something that challenged everything I thought I knew about talent versus practice. The difference wasn't about raw ability. It was about how much time I spent on focused, intentional practice that required failing like a scientist to build a learning loop. My brain had essentially become a failure-seeking machine. While my naturally gifted friends coasted on their initial advantages, I was unconsciously hunting for the edges of my competence, the exact spots where my new neural infrastructure would get stronger. This wasn't just practicing a skill repeatedly, but deliberately targeting weaknesses with conscious intention to master them through focused, systematic, and purposeful effort. The strangest part? I started outperforming people who'd always been naturally better than me. My brain had learned to crave the exact challenges that would trigger more rewiring. Every time I deliberately failed at something slightly beyond my current ability, I was activating that same neurological upgrade process, the one that had rebuilt me after my business collapsed. Strategic failure wasn't just recovery anymore. It was acceleration. 3 years after my business collapse, I developed a three-step reframe process that turns neurological upgrade into action. First, identify the specific skill your failure is teaching. Not just I'm bad at this, but my brain is learning to handle financial uncertainty. Second, predict what future challenge this prepares you for. Maybe your next venture will require managing cash flow during market downturns. Third, celebrate the brain adaptation happening in real time. Your brain is literally building infrastructure for bigger challenges. When you frame current failures as neurological investments instead of personal defeats, you stop fighting the rewiring process and start directing it. Subscribe for more counterintuitive brain science that challenges how you think about growth. And watch the next video on turning anxiety into your advantage.